I mean, I think at this stage, it feels like we have enough of a sample size. While I was listening to Brian about the three guys, I think we just have enough of a sample size, in my opinion, to determine that this team is just not that good. And Brian, you kind of nailed it from the beginning, talking about their point differential. And look, I guess there is this notion. I'd be curious to hear what your thoughts are. When I did the game on Friday against the Clippers, there was this notion, and listen, you've written a story about LeBron, and the walking many years ago. I remember that, and it was smart to conserve energy. But there's this notion that when LeBron is quote unquote engaged, that the team plays better, and that there are moments and lulls in the game where he's not as engaged. Now, I believe that's directly correlated to not having the ball in his hands as much as he once did, right? You went through the numbers a few moments ago about when he's out there with four other guys, he's still freaking incredible, right? Like he's still maybe not LeBron James, peak LeBron James, but pretty darn good still. What do you make of that notion that the engagement at times, because the ball may be sticking, is an issue?
There's probably some truth to that. The thing about it is the Lakers have been awesome in the clutch this year. And part of the reason they're awesome in the clutch is because oftentimes in clutch situations, you need great one-on-one basketball. And they got three guys who can do it. And so, I don't want to present the fact that these three guys have similar skill sets as a negative, like that's, never going to work. But, there are some positives with it and there are some negatives. But like when Luka, LeBron has never played with a guy like Luka before, ever. Even the outstanding point guards that he played with, the outstanding off guards that he played with, he was still the alpha. He's never been, beta, or if you want to say, 1B. And I think his mindset has been okay with it. I think he's tried to embrace it. But after 20 something years, forget about 20 years, he was never the guy who didn't have the ball when he was in high school either. So his whole basketball life, he's played a certain way. And now, he's not fighting it. I remember as soon as the trade happened, LeBron was like, look, I get why they did it. It makes sense. Maybe he would have done the same thing if he was running the team, but it is different. So, but I don't look at the Lakers and say, boy, if LeBron was just more engaged, they'd be in second place.
Yeah, I mean, again, this was a notion that was floated to me over that day, but I didn't necessarily believe that's the only reason, right? Like they're not playing well. But I was just curious to get your thoughts on that. To your point, you and I are now old. 15 years ago, we saw a clunkiness to his start with Dwayne Wade. But to your point, it's not the same. Like Dwayne Wade is not the usage rate guy that Luka Doncic is. And I think that, while I know that you had said earlier, we can talk about end of game situations later. I do think that end of game situations matter in the context of what we're already discussing, right? I think that, you can make the case Luka was either hesitant or didn't feel comfortable initially coming off the action towards the end of that game and kind of gave LeBron a grenade there.
He definitely gave him a grenade.
Yeah.
Why he gave it to him is another story, but he definitely gave him a grenade.
Yeah, and I just think it's still and that kind of goes back to your original point, which is they've only played 220 minutes or so together. And there's still this kind of feeling out process even this season. Like JJ Redick told me on Friday. He said, because I asked him, like, what does this look like, when those three guys are playing at an optimal level? And here's exactly what he told me, okay? He said, they're not taking turns, okay? They're not taking turns. They are playing cohesively while also understanding that on a given night, and even in a given moment during the game, that they will have an inherent advantage, that one of them will have an inherent advantage. And everyone has to be good with that, basically. That in that given moment, they have to have that, but they have to understand when those inherent advantages are taking place.
I'm sure JJ is right about that, and I'm sure if they did have their 10,000 hours in, they would definitely be better than -8 per 100 possessions. I absolutely believe that they can perform better than that. The question is I don't know if they're going to get there this year. And then this summer, 2 of the 3 of them are free agents.
Oh yeah, no, I'm with you. I think if you had me choose, if it was a binary situation, and you had me choose work or doesn't work, I would say incompatible. Would be my if you forced me today to make a conclusion, I would say incompatible. Now he will claim that last year quickly they were able to throw together what he calls utility plays, right? Just kind of like break glass in case of emergency, like very basic things that they could do together. He said because of their lack of time together, they haven't even gotten around to that necessarily, like they did even last year. So again, I think that it's a very complex situation, but yeah, I'm with you. Like, I think that I don't necessarily think it's going to work between the 3. So yeah, I mean, and
the bigger thing is if you're not convinced of it, you can't really enter into gigantic long-term contracts.
Agreed.
Even for next year, forget about long deep or even for next year.
Mm-hmm.
But like I think last night, like here's the thing. You say why did the Lakers lose that game? Well, they lost the game because Luka didn't take that shot in the end.
Yeah. Well, and the offensive rebounding got crushed on the boards. I mean, as well as Ayton played, at the end of the day, he couldn't keep those guys off the glass.
Well, it was actually Austin.
Well, at the end, yes, but I'm talking about throughout the game.
Yes, although I would say like the screen that Ayton set to open Luka, he screened 2 players. It was one of the best screens you'll ever see in a late game situation, and even the play like JJ. Was like using that was like a football play.
Yeah. Well, it was nice for him to do that for the first time in about a month.
Well, yeah.
He heard everything that happened over the last couple of days, where JJ called him out for giving 20% effort.
Right. Well, he gave great effort on the defense to stop Paolo Banchero, and I'm not, and Austin let Anthony Black run right past him. So what happened was, the Lakers got the lead on the great inbound play where the Magic fell asleep. LeBron gets the dunk.
Mm-hmm.
They run a switch and they specifically target. They want a Paolo Banchero going up against Ayton. Ayton works really hard in that possession, challenges the shot, forces the miss, and Austin falls asleep watching the ball go to the basket. And Anthony Black runs past him. And I know the ball ended up in Wendell Carter's hands, but the only reason the Magic had possession was because Austin wasn't there to block. He wasn't there. So, you can go back possession by possession. In the aggregate, the Lakers have been awesome in the clutch this year. And if you're gonna celebrate all these clutch games where they get it done, you're gonna have to accept that you're gonna have a clutch game where it's not gonna go your way. The Magic, I think 3 days ago, were playing in Phoenix, and they lost a game when Jalen Green hit some like flinging shot from the corner where he fell into the stands in double overtime.
Yeah.
I mean, that they must have felt like they gave that one away. Well, they stole one back last night. That's the nature of clutch games.
But by the way, the Magic played 48 minutes basically of a cluch game against the Clippers the other night. Like that game felt like it was 5 points the whole way.
They won by 2 that night.
Right.
So, the point is you don't need to play as many clutch games. The reason the Lakers are playing so many clutch games is their 3 best players who are highest paid don't function at the highest level together.
Correct.
If you're JJ Redick today, you're looking at the film and saying, boy, we needed to do this differently on this play. Boy, we needed Austin to block out here. We could have done something here. We had the wrong idea on how we were, defending, blah, blah, blah. If you're Rob Pelinka, you're looking at this lineup data and going, and it's not information he didn't already have before yesterday. He already knew this. But Rob Pelinka's job is to solve the fact that they're 3 highest paid players. Or I guess Austin isn't even their highest paid. I guess Rui's higher paid. But their 3 biggest stars and $100 million between them aren't productive together.
Well,
That's Rob Pelinka's job.
Let me ask you, both of you guys, this question, though. So, Windy, you've laid out the data of what they are when the 3 of them are on the floor versus when there's no LeBron on the floor versus when there's no Austin and Luka on the floor. We've heard all the data. Is there any reason that somebody should look at this team and go, but over the next 25 games, given that they're 11-12 in their last 23, that they were 4-4 in this homestand, is there any reason to think that in the next 25 games they could be something that they were not or that they are not?
So here I have this one of my biggest rules that I learned about the NBA that I will profess until I can no longer do the job is that the thing about NBA basketball is that there's always time. that there is always, seasons are extraordinarily long. Playoff series are very long. Even individual games, 48 minutes, there's so many possessions. The game is so forgiving. So there is absolutely always time. And if that is what that is really the only answer that they have. They're not like going to say, well, we're just going to not play Austin Reeves. We're just going to shut him down. Like they have to lean into that. And I'm sure that JJ is working on it every single day. My thing is, I don't think the Lakers can defend well enough to win. Like, again, you can look at individual. I can talk about Austin not blocking on that play. They give up 60% shooting to the Magic in the fourth quarter of this game. The Magic were missing 2 of their 4 best players. The Magic are one of the weaker offensive teams in the league. You can't give up 60% shooting. I believe that the Lakers, with the way they defend, will always have a ceiling put on them. But when it comes to these 3, Cappy, you are correct. Like, JJ could probably sit here and go, we're going to keep working at it, and we're going to get there, and I believe it, and he could end up being right. Like, I'm not saying it's impossible. I am just telling you what's been happening so far.
So you don't really see the possibility of them drastically improving
I think
because
that
they're playing together more.
Of course they can get better. It's inexplicable that these 3 offensive studs produce such weak offense. So absolutely they can do better. I question whether they can ever defend well enough to do anything with this particular roster. I'm not sure that's ever going to be the case. But I have no doubt with more time and more work on it, they could be better offensively. Because the way for the Lakers to win, as like I said a few minutes ago, is for those guys to crush it offensively. For those guys to get out there and just the other team is constantly in rotation. They have nobody to deploy on those 3 guys, to be stressed out to the max, to be fouling like crazy, to be trying to cover all the ground, for those guys to be generating highlights, for them to be laughing, for them to be making up handshakes like after they score. Like, that should be the way that they play. And I still think they'll have trouble at the highest level because they won't be able to get enough stops. But they should be like, are they the number 1 offensive trio in the league, or are they number 2? We should be debating, whether that's where they are. Right now, they are literally one of the worst trios in the league, one of the worst on the team. And that is inexplicable. And so if you want to say to me, that's got to get better and give us 20 games, that's absolutely reasonable and that can happen. But it's going to have to get way better than it's been for them to become a serious threat. The Lakers do have upside. And the one thing I'm going to say is the teams all around them, I know they finally dropped back a spot overnight. They fell to 6th. The teams all around them in the West are all losing right now. Yeah. Denver's losing. Houston's losing. Minnesota has been just okay. Who am I forgetting, Sedano? There's another team that's been losing around them. In this stretch, they haven't really lost position.
Yeah.
They can't keep playing 500 basketball. The Suns behind them are losing because they've got a bunch of injuries right now. They haven't really been penalized by this last 20 games. Yeah, Houston's been struggling. So that is one upside, is that the Western Conference has not been the gauntlet that a lot of us thought it was going to be. And, half of it is tanking anyway. But the teams that are not tanking are not performing that well right now.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think, we talked about this briefly yesterday. I don't know if they're going to be ready come playoff time because it's a different game. But I wouldn't put it past the San Antonio Spurs at this point. Like, I am normally the guy that says, hey, you know what? The playoffs are different. And they are. There's no question. I've been around the game as you long enough. But, man, I just think that guy makes things different. And maybe he'll, have some games that he'll struggle in the postseason. Maybe someone will come up with something. But I just think the way they're playing, I've been around them enough this season. Yes, they have young guys, but they do have a couple of veterans, I think, that are impactful for them, whether it's on the floor or off the floor, I think, more importantly. And I just think San Antonio is for real in a way that we haven't seen a team be this for real. Now, are they going to be like the Thunder a couple years ago where you lose in the second round? Maybe. But that's still, I think, a tremendous season for them, all things considered. But I just think that they are going to be a team to be reckoned with a little sooner than we anticipated.
Yeah, if you're the Lakers, what you want to do, you want 2 things. One, you need these 3 guys to have some rhythm so that they're showing some teeth when you get to the postseason. All right? The second thing is you want to avoid that play-in situation, not because you necessarily want to avoid play-in. Like, I'll give a Luka, LeBron, Austin Reeves team a chance to win any game anywhere in a one-off. But you don't want to play the 1 or 2 seed. What you're looking for is, whether you have home court or not, you're looking for avoiding San Antonio and OKC. I think Denver is still very formidable when they're healthy, but right now Denver is not healthy and they're not formidable. In fact, I think Jokic, over the last 7 or 8 games that he's played, has looked as human as he possibly can. Hopefully they're going to get some of their defenders back, but so there is a pathway. There's weeds and thicket, but this is not to be given up on. Like, I do think the idea of paying LeBron, Reeves, and Luka $150 million next year, that's gone. Yeah, that is absolutely not acceptable. And I think the Lakers know that. But this season is not to be given up on. They still can manufacture something. Teams need to know what's going on by the last week of June, because they need to know what they're doing with their draft. They need to know who's picking up their options and their contracts. All the contract options are usually in the last week of June or the first week of July. And because free agency starts June 30th. Mm-hmm. So here's the timeline. On June 30th, there are going to be teams that are ready to offer Austin Reeves big money. There's a couple of teams that are going to have cap space. It reduced a little bit. A team that we all kind of thought would go after Austin hard was Utah. Now, Utah just used a bunch of their cap space on Jaren Jackson. Mm-hmm. But there's some teams out there that are going to have cap space. A team like Brooklyn, for example. A team like Washington. And then there are going to be other teams who are going to be aggressive at going after Austin and sign and trade. So the point is the Lakers are going to have to be ready to know what they're going to pay Austin Reeves and ready for that competition at the buzzer. Ideally, if the Lakers decide they want to keep him, and I believe that'll be the case, he doesn't even ever go out into free agency. You work out a deal and you have it done. With LeBron, I'm not sure LeBron is going to know what he wants to do for next year by the end of June. I'm not sure he's going to know where he wants to do next year by July 1st, by July 15th, by July 30th. And when I say I'm not sure, I genuinely don't know. I'm not playing with language. I'm not sure he knows. He has to see where his body is. He has to see where he's at mentally. He has to see what the lay of the land is. He has to hear what the Lakers' plan is. Okay? But at age 41, he may not decide what he wants to do for next season until after the main transaction season sort of is open and closed. And that will probably cost him money, because if he wants to maximize the actual dollars, he's going to have to know right away. If he waits until like the back of the summer, which I don't know, guys, he may make up his mind on June 30th as well. I couldn't be more clear, but the Lakers are going to have a clear path of what they're going to do, and they're going to have to go immediately. They're a cap space team. They're going to have $100 million in cap space. Very likely, a giant portion of that is going to be devoted to retaining Austin. Okay? Uh-huh. But LeBron may not know right away. LeBron may want to just wait and see how his body is, where his mind's at.
But you're talking about LeBron's thoughts here, and you're talking about LeBron deciding. Don't you think that the Lakers should be in a position to make their own decision as to whether or not they are going forward without him, or they're going to try somehow to get him to come back? And to your point earlier about all the data, why the heck would they want him back, given what the data tells them?
Cappy, the Lakers are going to have their cap space spent by July 2nd or 3rd.
Okay.
It's going to be gone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And they will, maybe LeBron's agreed to a new contract. Maybe LeBron's like, I got to wait and see. But they're going to spend the cap space elsewhere. They can't just, that's not how the NBA works. The NBA, it's not like baseball where you can sit around for 4 months and figure out who you're negotiating with. You can sign a star player 5 minutes before spring training. It doesn't work that way.
I know, but what I'm saying is that shouldn't the Lakers make their own decision for themselves?
What I'm saying is if LeBron says
LeBron.
I need more time, the Lakers got to move on.
Okay, right, exactly.
Yeah. So, and they have to be prepared to do that.
But if LeBron didn't say I need more time, let's say LeBron said I want to come back and I want to take a pay cut.
Yeah.
If you were the Lakers, wouldn't you just look at the same data that you reported earlier today and go, that's not a good idea for us?
Well, part of the reason I'm saying it doesn't work is that I'm saying you're deploying $100 million in salary with a threesome that isn't necessarily getting it done. So if it's not, if one of those guys is making a lot less money, then that changes the formula a little bit. There's a world where the Lakers could use the cap space on a star player, and then LeBron says, you know what, like, I want to be here. Like, I'll come back at a greatly reduced number. And so now you've got those three and you've added another star and things make more sense. That's a possibility. Like, that's one way they could go. It's more likely, I think, they go out and acquire role players. And by the way, I just want to, you don't have to use cap space on free agents. You can use cap space a lot of different ways, specifically to acquire players from other teams where you don't have to balance the trade. People know in the NBA, if you want a player that's making $40 million, you have to send like $35 million out. But if you have cap space, you can send a draft pick and take the $40 million guy back right straight off. Then you don't have an issue. You just take it straight in. So you can do that when you've got cap space. So it's not just look at the free agent list. The Lakers will have targets via trade, but they're gonna have to proceed with the plan. And my guess is the plan will be to put players who fit alongside Luka better. And then if LeBron decides he wants to continue his career, then you say, well, LeBron, this is what we have to offer you. Or other teams can say, this is what we have to offer you. But the Lakers are gonna. This is what I'm saying. The Lakers are gonna know that they can't. Because Austin is going to get, my guess is at least $40 million. Mm-hmm. Okay. Luka is making in the neighborhood of 50 next year. That's $90 million. Okay. You can't pay. By the way, they could pay all of them. They could pay LeBron $50 million again, pay Austin $40 million, and pay Luka $50 million. They could do that. The rest of their roster, we would have nothing to spend. But it's not against the rules. And like, if you look at the Thunder right now, the Thunder signed Shea, Chet Holmgren, and Jalen Williams all to contract extensions last summer. Those three guys are getting raises that total $65 million between this year and next year. And they're happy to do it because those three guys are a championship core. One of them is a point guard, one of them is a wing, one of them is a big. They fit together beautifully. They've all got beautiful rings. They've got a banner up there. They're all in their 20s. Like, they're going to pay the price elsewhere on their roster. They're not going to be able to keep all these guys, but they signed those contracts the moment they could sign them because they knew they fit together and they knew that it was a long-term plan. It doesn't work that way. Like, even a year ago, before the Thunder knew they were winning the championship, they knew they were signing all three of those dudes. They were like, look, these three guys are going to work. Let's invest in that. The Lakers are sitting here looking right now going, these three guys don't work. So now LeBron at a fraction of his salary, that's a different conversation altogether. Then the value proposition changes altogether, but not at the level that they're going to be at with Austin and Luka next year. It doesn't make sense, and the Lakers know that. Anybody with even a cursory knowledge of basketball would come to that conclusion very quickly.
George, I'm about to give a very simplistic. I'll beat you to the punch. You don't have to call me a simpleton. I'm about to give you a simplistic opinion. If everything you've already told us this morning, Brian Windhorst, is that it doesn't work with the three of them, I don't care if LeBron James wants to play for free. Doesn't work.
Well, the value proposition changes. I don't want to be caught in speculating what LeBron would be willing to play for. But there are numbers that he could play for where it would be a no-brainer for any team in the world to pay him. But I don't want to get my name attached to what I think that number could be. But, like for example, Lindsay and I are from Cleveland. There are people who will make the case that, man, if LeBron wants to come back to Cleveland next year, I don't know if it fits, Harden and Donovan. And I go, you understand that LeBron would come back to Cleveland literally for $4 million, right? That you would get an all-star player, an all-NBA level player for $4 million. You would send a 747 to get him in 5 seconds if he said he was willing to do that. It has to do with the value proposition. So the reason that the Lakers are having a difficult time reconciling this is that LeBron and Luka are making $50 million each. And you've got $100 million in payroll deployed on two guys who do not produce at that level out on the court. And again, it's not because there's idiots running the team. It's because LeBron was under this contract and they traded for Luka. Like, this wasn't LeBron, Wade, and Bosh where they put this three together and said, this is our team, and they started going to finals. This is a marriage that happened in this is popped up suddenly. And really what the Lakers are doing is they're unwinding a team that was built around LeBron and AD and building a new team that's going to be built around Luka and in a lesser part, Reeves. And there are some people that would have said, well, as soon as we got Luka, that should instantaneously have been the decision, and that they should have offloaded these other players and, told LeBron to go away or whatever. The Lakers elected not to do that. They elected to postpone their major roster redo until the summer of 26. They had reasons why they wanted to do that. But this year was always going to be this year where they were going to try to force the peg into the round hole. Mm-hmm. And it hasn't. It's had some success. Like, they're doing fine. It's not a championship team right now. So JJ is in there every single day, his sleeves rolled up. He's in the film room. He's looking at the numbers. He's having meetings with his coaches. He's trying to figure it out. He'll continue to try to figure it out. But they're dealing with a major transition here that involves taking one $50 million player that makes us plays a certain way and another $50 million that plays a certain way, who are 15 years apart in age, and they're trying to make this major transition. This is like, buying a beach house and turning it into a mountain cabin. Like, you ain't going to do it in 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. And so that's what the Lakers are in the process of doing. And the other thing is this. LeBron is one of the greatest players in the history of the sport. It is extraordinarily important for the Lakers, just from a respect point of view and from a brand point of view, because the Lakers are built on the concept of getting star players. Mm-hmm. Every time I show up out there's another new statue. Mm-hmm. Okay, I just saw the Pat Riley statue. I was admiring it yesterday. Awesome statue. I'm glad Pat Riley learned from Dwayne Wade. That statue is glorious.
Yeah.
The brand is to make sure that those players want to come here and have statues. Okay. Mm-hmm. So you have got to be, and that's why every time Rob Pelinka has spoken publicly this year about LeBron, he has been nothing but respectful in saying, we want LeBron. We want to do what LeBron wants. We want to do right by him. We want LeBron to his career's end with the Laker. Like, yeah, they got to play the Magic tonight. They got to play the Suns tomorrow or whatever. Like, that's what they got to do. But they also have to make these big, giant decisions. They got to respect LeBron. You can't just say, LeBron, we got Luka now. Thank you for your service. We'll see you at the 10-year anniversary of the 2020 championship. Like, it doesn't work that way. Okay. This is part of the balls that are in the air and what they're managing right now. And so that's what we're seeing. And it's going to lead to some short-term frustration. Mm-hmm. But I believe long-term, I can close my eyes and I can see Luka holding a Larry O'Brien trophy in one hand, and I can see him holding the Bill Russell trophy in the other. I can see that. I just can't see it with this roster. Yeah. And I don't think that's breaking news.
Okay. Can I just ask you guys this question? And maybe I'm just trying to put two and two together here. But Windy, I'm sure you've seen Dave McMenamin's reporting that, and Lon Rosen, by the way, he's not shying away from it. There is great demand for Laker tickets, and they think that they're currently undervalued. So the ticket prices are going to go up exponentially next year.
Wait, before you get to that.
Yeah.
Lon Rosen also said that Rob Pelinka will be back next year.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that, Brian?
Well, Lon Rosen is part of the Genie Bus family. I mean, basically the Lakers, the two greatest Lakers of all time are who?
Magic Johnson and Kobe Bryant.
Kobe,
okay.
Yeah.
Their agents are running the team.
Right.
Okay.
That's true.
So this is the family. This is still the Laker family. Now I'm interested. Something else that he said was that Andrew Friedman and Farhan Zahidi are going to be standing sort of side by side with Rob Pelinka, offering assistance. I think that's the word he used. Please don't hold me to those exact two words.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, but it was something along those lines.
Yeah. No, you're right. They're going to be there, if needed, right? Like that kind of thing.
I'd like to know more about that.
Sure.
How quickly before Rob goes, guys, you're baseball guys. I'm a basketball guy. Please.
Well, I mean, frankly, he'd be right in saying that.
Of course.
Right.
Course.
So, that is, I think, what does that mean? I don't have an answer. have an answer. So, but this, this is all this is the Laker family. They didn't go outside the family.
Okay.
I don't think you're going to see major shift change at all with that change.
But Lon said yesterday that Rob is running basketball, I'm running business. Yeah. That's he kind of made that division right there, right? So think about this. if you're the guy who's running business and you're telling your fan base that you're increasing ticket prices exponentially, I'm just putting two and two together here. Would ticket prices go up that much because maybe the plan is to have the LeBron farewell tour in a Laker uniform? And
I don't think it matters. In all honesty, like, I mean, again, for the brand, it's important that whenever LeBron leaves the Lakers, that it's on beautiful terms. They need star players to say, I want to be a Laker. I want my career to end like Kobe's career ended, like LeBron's career ended. That's what they need. They need to vision themselves with statues out there. It's more important for the Lakers than any other team. And it drives Laker exceptionalism. So they have to, like, it was the wrong basketball decision to give Kobe Bryant that last contract extension, but it was the right brand decision. Mm-hmm. Okay. And a couple of years later, you had LeBron saying, make me a Laker. And then a year after that, you had Anthony Davis say, make me a Laker. So those Kobe years at the end were a real letdown, but the way they handled them contributed to their next championship. So if you have some short-term discomfort and you leave the impression that you handled LeBron's end beautifully, then it is worth it. And that's part of the arithmetic that is not, going to be for other teams. That's something that the Lakers have to think about. And that's something that Jeannie has prioritized, something she learned from her father. When it comes to raising the ticket prices, it's the same concept as why I can tell you that the data shows that that Reeves, Luka, and LeBron don't play well together. The Lakers have all this data. They know what their tickets are selling for. They know what their demand is. What they're saying is, we're still going to sell that place out, even increasing those prices.
Right. That's right. And listen, I know it's offensive to a lot of people to hear ticket prices are increasing by 40%. Listen, when the Dodgers increase their ticket prices, people go, yeah, I understand. They just won back-to-back World Series. When the Lakers do it, people are like, really, for this product? But on the other hand, if you look at the secondary market and what people pay for Laker tickets, then you know that these ticket prices are in great demand, and frankly, they are undervalued. And if you just bought an organization for $10 billion and you're going to start biting into that, raising ticket prices is the first place you start. And again, there'll still be sellouts every single night, no matter what the prices are. Now, certain people will be priced out, and for those people, I feel terrible for you guys. But the rich people are going to buy expensive tickets in the nosebleed section. That's going to happen.
George, did you see that went viral? Something went viral in the last few days. There was a Minnesota Timberwolves season ticket holder who tweeted out his ticket prices for the last 3-4 years.
I did not. I didn't see it.
Yeah, and I don't have it in front of me, but basically,
I'll look it up.
The Timberwolves have increased their season ticket price. And here's the thing about price increases: different tickets increase by different amounts, and so only the team really has a feel. Like, you kind of have to rely on them to say what their amounts are. But the Timberwolves have cranked their ticket prices. This guy was showing he had the invoices from 22, 23, 24, and he was putting the one for 26, 27. And the Timberwolves prices have more than doubled in 3 or 4 years. Now, they've just had 2 of their best years in franchise history. Mm-hmm. But certainly you would not compare Los Angeles to Minneapolis. And I'm telling you, the tickets prices have gone up more percentage-wise, not actual dollars, but percentage-wise, even more there. This is just the reality. The demand for premium tickets especially is very strong in the NBA right now. I know that people say, well, the product, whatever. From an NBA business standpoint, they are flying high. Their teams are all selling for huge multiples, and the new media rights deal is flowing in, and you see, forget about what words are. What are their actions? I'm seeing teams raise these prices. The Cavs, for example, just raise their prices. So that's a reality. I don't think you should take any, on court. I think these ticket prices will be going there whether the Lakers were in first or last, whether LeBron was on the team or not.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. If massive increase in ticket price means we're going to sell you something that you have to see, and that's going to be LeBron's last year.
They don't have to, Cappy. They don't have to offer that. They're going to sell the tickets anyway.
I totally agree. They are. That's exactly right. If LeBron's on this team or LeBron's not on this team, they're going to increase their ticket prices by 40%. People are going to buy them. People are going to be in those seats. And it doesn't matter what the product is on the floor. It's still going to be sold out every single night. Am I wrong on that?
And not only that, next year the Walters and buses, because the buses still have 17%, they're going to make a ton of money. You want to know why? Assuming that the local TV deal doesn't go haywire, because that's the one thing that is that's a whole other topic for another day.
Yeah.
But the Lakers' payroll is going to go down next year because they're going to become a caps-based team, and they're not going to be a luxury taxpayer next year. More than likely, I guess if they were to re-sign this whole roster all back to the same contract, I guess in theory that could be the case. But more than likely, they're going to fall below the cap, and then they're going to spend up to the cap. They're not going to be up here. They're going to be at the cap. So they're going to have a lesser payroll next year, 40% more ticket prices. By the way, there's been plenty of years where the Lakers have operated, much more. I'm not saying that like they're trying to save money. I'm just saying next year is going to be a good year for the Lakers business.